time, I'm gonna call the workshop session, in order. You made it, Pat, see that? We were running a little behind anyway. It's 6:07.
Something's wrong.
What's the matter? We do not have an agenda in front of us because there is nothing, a work session agenda, because there's nothing to discuss other than reviewing this agenda at this time, this evening. We do have an executive session scheduled this evening. If you reviewed your board packet, you would see that. So at this time, you want to take a roll call?
Sure.
Mr. V, of board members?
Patricia Adair, Angel Beebe,
Here.
Charles Buckheim,
Here.
Naomi Davison,
Here.
Maria Panzarelli,
Here.
Patricia Smith,
Here.
Samantha Spalding,
Here.
Lynn Terrell,
Here.
and Amy Ferry.
Here.
You have a quorum.
So, again, I'll just say that Ms. Mariucci said that there is nothing other than what's on the agenda to discuss in the work session unless we have any questions. So, at this time, we will go to,
There was a couple, if you take a look at some, there was some things added to the agenda specifically under workshops. There's some stuff added recently today, as well as the Bill Red Day fundraiser at Fame School as well, at both.
And property and transportation.
Yep. So if you just take a look at the bolded things, you might want to, before you ask any questions about that. We have the property and transportation added, and I believe
It's wrong.
alright, I will. So I'm gonna go, section by section. We all have the reports. The superintendent report will be, reviewed during the public meeting. Does anybody have any questions? Well, the principals aren't here. The curriculum instruction, supervisor's report, or any of the nurses' reports for the superintendent at this time?
I have some questions.
Okay.
Mark, about the early dismissal, do we have, or maybe this isn't your question, do we have a policy that states the procedure we follow, or the fact that we have an early dismissal? I don't ever recollect us.
it's a good question, I can double check and pause, I'm sure there is one.
I mean, I know we have policy for closures and for delays, but I don't know about early dismissals. If you can just check, just to make sure.
I can check if there's time between
Okay.
this meeting and the regular meeting. I can
Okay.
look into that.
Now, do you mean, just so I'm on the same page, when you say early dismissal, a planned early dismissal like we had last week, or an early dismissal if the kids are in school?
An
and-
early dismissal, an emergency,
Yeah.
emergency dismissal,
Gotcha.
you know, I mean, yes,
Because I
it's
think
on our
it's
school
wonderful.
calendar, it's known that,
Mhm.
there's an early dismissal, and that's just part of what we approve as a board.
I'm
But I don't know if
confident
there's
there would have to
anything-
be a policy in place that was probably approved years ago for that,
Okay,
just because.
I just don't know, I know in, years past, way years past, there was actually
Yep.
some chaos.
This is the
and
first one we've
some
had.
very concerned parents because of, working
It's
conditions.
not, it's not something you wanna, I mean, that's why we called it early, because they.
Exactly.
It was perfect.
Exactly, yeah, oh, it was great.
That made a huge
Oh, I think so too.
difference.
Because it, especially with the younger students, you don't wanna send them home to an empty home.
No, exactly,
That happens
exactly.
With the busing issue, so that's why we put that in place.
Also, you talked about the teacher evaluations, how you're using a template for support staff. Can you explain to us the aspects you are using?
Well, there's no, like, the nurses and guidance counselors don't fall under that, so we've taken aspects from the Danielson model to apply that with the counselors and things like that.
Okay,
So
can you
we don't
give
use
me
a
a
we don't use a
example?
traditional rapport with children, giving respect and rapport.
Okay, okay, that's fine.
You know, all the domains we're hitting 2 and 3 with the teachers, we're using the same.
Okay.
It's kind of different because the nurses obviously wouldn't, classroom environment for a nurse.
Well, they are.
They are teaching health.
elementary
They are
nurses
teaching health, but that's not the predominantly most of what they're doing. So when
Right.
when you're gonna observe a school nurse, I'm not gonna give her an evaluation in the 35-minute or 45-minute period she's teaching health.
Okay.
It's probably gonna be more of her collectively,
Right,
of what she does on a day-to-day basis, distributing medications, seeing children, making
Right.
phone calls, and things like that.
okay.
So-
But we're okay, well, that was another question, as far as the nurses, because they are educators as well as nurses, are we okay with
Yes.
just using aspects of that template and not have to worry about observing them?
Also with the chief engineer, the only thing that it dictates through that memorandum is the fact that when we score them,
Uh-huh,
it can be narrative, but we do need to rate them
okay,
as highly effective, effective, partially effective, or ineffective,
okay,
which is how the teachers are rated, but that's an overall rating. So
okay,
you can technically still keep a narrative form where you would outline everything that they're doing,
okay,
but you do need to give them a rating based on the chief NJ, and they do need to receive 3 observations prior to the end of the school year.
okay, all right.
So there's guidelines to follow, they just don't have the computerized program like all the teachers have.
It basically wasn't putting it, in the trainings I went to last year, they didn't get to that part of it. They wanted to include, originally they had included them, from the original trainings I went to last September of 12, but then as they passed those things back in February of
Mhm.
2013, they kinda got away from that.
So
Do
for
you think it's
example,
coming?
Danielson has like a school psychologist one and a guidance counselor one. But what we found also is that many of the state organizations for counselors, for those areas, don't necessarily agree with every aspect that's being
Okay.
brought on by Danielson.
Sure,
Whereas the teacher effectiveness model has been reviewed by the various organizations and has
Okay.
been approved. So what happened is McGrail, Danielson, all these companies have put things together to make sure that there's a rubric in place for each of those areas. Just not everyone has bought into it at this point in time.
gotcha,
And I think what you're gonna see this year too is, next year moving forward, is the difference between regular education and special education. I think we're gonna make some changes to that,
okay,
because I don't think, sometimes if you're in a special education classroom, it might not be, I don't know what you think, I don't think it's as fair, so to speak, of what you're rating them at as compared to regular education classroom. So they can't get that
right,
4.0 score because it's just not, if you're watching somebody with 1 or 2 kids,
mhm.
in a group, so you're gonna see some changes, they're tweaking it, it's a
Well, and
working
that's a good
document.
thing, and that's the way it should be,
And-
it
But
should be,
I could see probably in the future, some type of instrument lending itself to including support staff when it comes to,
okay.
even probably the instructional associates and things like that.
Okay, and last question for you, Mark, as far as our school security, the press release that went through as far as the new terminology that came out,
Yep.
are we putting together this terminology information to send home to the parents,
That's-
or?
That'll go in the next newsletter of what's happening. But these things are already, we've already used these to
Uh-huh.
begin with. The press release is just something that they finally got it to a point where they were going to go public with this. But we've been having these conversations now since September, at the county roundtable meetings and things like that with police. So
Okay.
they will be going out.
Would we also be putting it up on the website? This information?
We could with the press release, that wouldn't be a problem.
I think that's a good idea, just so we're covering our bases,
Yep.
for, again, just informing the public as to what's going on. Now, Sean, I had a couple questions for you, and as part of your instruction evaluation, part of your report, you talked about the new teacher mentoring academy that took place in December, and the topic was reflective practice. Did you use a specific format to cover this reflective practice topic?
One of the things that we discussed was we try to look to see what best practices are currently in place
Okay,
for peer-to-peer relationships, because one of the issues with a mentor-mentee relationship is at the end of the day, they're colleagues. So what we try to do is it was myself, the other administrators, and what we talked about was we're halfway through the year. What things are we discussing? What things are we working on together? How are we spending our time, and different struggles that might have been faced
okay,
throughout the year, and how we're kind of working our way through that. I mean, when we meet as a mentoring academy, it's a great way for teachers who are new within the field, within the district, to discuss struggles that they're facing, because the reason for a mentoring academy is retention of staff.
sure.
And you want to keep them within the district, and you want to keep them engaged in what they're doing, and if they're struggling, as a new teacher, the last thing you want to do is say that you need help. But if you don't get that help, you're not gonna move forward and enjoy the profession that you chose to be in.
Right.
So that reflective practice was a midway point, and at that point, teachers have to keep weekly logs
Okay.
as far as what they're discussing between mentor and mentee, Those were collected at that point in time. It was also discussed, our principals have to do a 10, 20, and 30-week evaluative summary on the mentees. That gets sent to the state, because currently those teachers are working towards a standard certification. They're currently using a provisional certification for 1 year, and then they get their standard once they complete a 30-week, the 30-week mentoring.
Okay.
What I like about what's going on in that program is the fact that you and the administration's getting the kind of feedback you need to put together effective professional development for the staff. Because they're giving you honest feedback, and you're seeing it when you go into the classroom to observe, so that when you put together professional development, it's something that's gonna be effective, help people grow, and it's gonna keep them here. The number one reason why young teachers or new teachers leave the profession is they feel like they're not getting support, that support that they need on an ongoing basis, so it's good.
Okay, and also, the parent event coming up this week, what times? What's your time?
10:30 and 6 o'clock are the times that I've been using. Usually it's the last Tuesday of the month. This one, we're focusing on the Common Core State Standards, just to give them an overview of what the Common Core State Standards are, what their students are expected to know, the umbrella that it falls under, and then we're also discussing the park assessment.
Right.
Something that many of the students did was they did practice park problems in grades 3 through 8, and then that way some of those practice problems were sent home, so parents could kind of see what it might look like. But looking that we're going completely electronically based, is something that I think, parents need to realize, and the skills that need to be applied within it.
Okay.
What is the date on that? It's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Morning?
Tomorrow,
10:30 morning, and then 6:30?
6 o'clock at night.
Okay, this is a question for either Mark or Sean. I noticed in the report, whose report was this? From Butch, that I see ports were removed from the library. Can you tell me what happened and why? These two sets of ports?
Used to be computer stations.
Right, exactly.
In here,
Okay,
which was removed, and they centralized it, made it smaller over there because of the new laptops and the iPads and all that stuff that they have. They didn't need all of those computers going at one time.
okay, so we didn't decrease our computer capacity.
we
That card is actually right behind her.
Right.
This car,
24
they
laptops.
farm the desktops out to teachers in their
Right.
classrooms to use, and we're using a laptop card, so there's actually some more things coming to make student workstation.
Okay, so what is planned for this area then, to come here?
There's another set of shelving coming, correct, Butch?
Correct.
For more books, because we're
Okay.
looking to add, to the library and get some stuff off the walls. And these tables are,
They're designated for,
Like,
one's gone to
we're
Big,
shipping
one's
them
gone
out.
to Downing.
we're shipping them out to the elementary school, because if you look at them, they're stacked on top of one
Sure.
another. And they would be of use in a 48 building, so they'd be better off. It's for
They're little.
learning
Just
centers.
saying.
Sure. I'm just curious, just wanting to know, how this is shifting, how, we talked about shifts in the library before.
Those desktops had some years on them,
Uh-huh.
so we were able to clean some of them up and ship them off to the classrooms.
Okay.
Additional teacher work centers and things like that.
Oh, okay, so they didn't go by the wayside, they're just
No.
being facilitated somewhere else within the district?
Yep.
Okay, well, that's a good thing.
They weren't being, with the teacher in the rooms, they weren't being used effectively as they could. Teachers would be like, okay, I have 4 kids in my classroom right now that need a computer, I only have 1 in my classroom. And she would coordinate with their supervision here, well, I can send these 3 kids and they can work on that public computer, just print something off to have done. So that's why they're in the classrooms now.
Okay, thanks.
I have a question, but it's back to professional development?
We didn't get there yet, but
Oh,
ask
okay.
it.
Yeah, ask it.
Yes, boy.
Well, I think you got it all mixed up.
Oh, it's all mixed up. We discussed that, but we waited because we haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
Question for Dr.
Karen. So when you did the, December mentor-mentee, were the issues or struggles that people expressed in line with what you thought the issues and struggles would be? Or were they things and points that you maybe hadn't realized were issues?
I think in many cases, we have an idea of what's going on,
Right.
again, with through walkthroughs.
Right.
And talking with teachers and working one-on-one. But I think what it allows for is even when we know those issues are taking place, as administrators, it gives me an opportunity to bring it up as a discussion point where, I mean, it's like with students, or as a parent, you might say something to your child over and over again, and they don't listen, but then when someone else says it, it's like an aha moment, and they get what's trying to be said. So by hearing something from one of your colleagues who might be in the same position, and how they dealt with the situation, it might work for you, might not, but it's hearing that different perspective. One of the other larger things that I think we've really benefited from are the grade level meetings. I know that those short, quick, little, like, they're 45 minutes, 40 minutes in length once you get started, but those short bursts of time that are allotted for staff to utilize have been crucial in terms of getting those quick PD sessions in, where you can break it down into smaller segments, and then they go back to their room, they're able to apply it. And I definitely see those being taken, and you see it being applied within classrooms. So for me, it makes me realize that it is extremely beneficial, and that people are taking something away from it.
Christopher told me at dinner that there was a special meeting tomorrow from you. So it worked. Whatever you said to his teacher then was passed along quite well, because there was something new that I had faced. So that's the only reason I knew.
That's good.
Went home with the kids, and there you go.
You did your job. You did good. Mark, I have another question. I don't know whether, I know Christy's not gonna be here. She talked about a homebound instruction student, paperwork that went from Dr. Patel's office. Is this instruction temporary, or is it something that's gonna go on for the remainder of the school year?
What page is that?
This is Chrissy, nurse's report, Chrissy Kirst, like the first page, very bottom, homebound instruction. It just says there's one student on homebound instruction, necessary paperwork was taken to Dr. Patel's office. He should be approved as recommended by the student.
That's a medical issue
Okay.
for the student.
But I mean, is this just temporary, or is this child gonna have to be educated homewardly
It
for
could
the
be,
rest of the
if
school
it's
year?
one of those things, if the student is missing, let's say they miss 5 days or whatever because of condition, you
Mhm.
know, I don't know, asthmatic or whatever it might be, and they miss a certain amount of time, and that child would be awarded like through a 504,
Right.
medical homebound instruction.
Okay.
And we always have to approve, we approve when they go on homebound. But what this may be talking about is, I just know from, I am like a homebound tutor,
Mhm.
that they need to get doctors' paperwork every 30 days. Like, you
Okay, I
can't,
mean, this was different from what I've ever seen as far
Yeah,
as what we've
I
approved as a
agree.
board, so.
But
I don't
normally, I
ever
think
see
the issue
homebound in
is,
her reports, it's usually on the, just our regular board agenda,
Mhm.
the homebound instruction, so
Right.
I'm actually meeting with the nurses on Thursday,
Okay,
morning at 8:20, because I wanna kinda streamline some of the things when they report, so there's no, it's a great question, because it's a little confusing on what we're reporting in the nurses report.
Okay.
We're getting some redundancy in all the reports that I'm seeing that come through, regarding
okay.
students and transfers and things like that.
I have a question for you, Mark. On district updates, you put down that policy protocols and procedure manuals are being reviewed. Are we going back to stress estimate yet for
We are using, yeah, we are,
Go back with them?
we're actually gonna,
contact with them?
they're actually helping us right now to do a review. I would like to get back with them so we can get, just to make sure we're in compliance with everything.
Yes,
They were very helpful.
We want to be a
They were
policy
very
driven district,
helpful.
and that to me, the money you put out at the
Process.
beginning would be well worth it.
I agree.
And some of the other things I put on there was just, some of our teachers' manuals and I'm making an administrator manual, so the go-to book, when an administrator has a question, Steve does this, he can go right there, this is what happens, so we're in the process of.
So they're more procedural
Exactly.
manuals.
It has everything in there, like, for instance, like last year we had the interim vice principal, that'd be something that would be a great resource for him to look up.
Mhm.
Lynn Terrello, you cut the tension, what happens when Lynn cuts the
Mm,
tension?
yeah.
That type of thing. Not that you ever do that, Ms. Terrello, but, so it's just, and then same thing for teachers, because that needs to be constantly updated. As a substitute manual can be constantly updated with the changes, so we're just looking to, not that we don't have it in place already, but we just need to make sure that we're, again, we want to be a policy-driven district and make sure we're following the policies.
I have one more question for Butch. Any timeframe for the new I guess that door there is being, replaced. So they know how long it's gonna be?
As soon as it gets in, it'll be put in, and there is no real time frame. It was ordered,
It was ordered.
everything's in motion.
Okay.
It's a special size, and we're doing the framing and all that kind of stuff, so it's not like something you just go to Home Depot and slap the door in.
They didn't tell you how long it would take to come in?
Takes a couple of weeks to get all the parts, then they gotta assemble it, and then bring it in, make any changes and hook it.
Thanks.
Butch, I actually have a quick question as well. On the, that's actually Second Avenue side of Downing School.
Okay?
So it's not the main drag of Third Avenue, but the Second Ave. Is there only one little piece of concrete there? So when, I just had a parent come up to me and she was, complaining about the roads, which is a whole nother issue. That's not our responsibility, and I'm handling that as a community member, but we need to handle it as a school district as well, because it was an absolute disgrace. I needed to put my four-wheel drive to pick my son up Thursday, called a complaint, still had to do it on Friday. There was at least 6 inches on Third Avenue by Downing of snow in the middle of Third Avenue.
Third or second?
Third.
Third Avenue.
But, so, the couple parents knew like that I was irate, because I seriously was irate, because it wasn't like, I know inches, it wasn't like an inch or two, it was 6 inches. And I'm lucky I have four-wheel drive, or I would have been stuck. So, one mom said, while you're on talking about snow, there's only one little lane, like a lot of people drop off, and then they go up the steps and they cut through the, so is there just one little block of cement there?
There's only one section there where called a drop-off section, if you will.
Okay.
That's it, just one little bit there, and of course, over by the corner, there's always at each corner there's one.
Because, if you've ever been there during drop-off, sometimes it's 10 cars deep.
Right.
So what was happening is the parent would have to get out, walk the kid all the way up in the middle of the street, and then just it comes to that little cut through because it was, this high,
Right.
the snow. So,
That's going on here, up until today, that was going on as well. I mean, if you didn't pull up in front of the driveway, I'm gonna remind everyone about 4 years ago, when my kids were at, I flipped. I don't know how irate you were or who you called, but I actually sat there, and I sat in front of them for about 3.5 hours, and, I told the borough that I was officially gonna sit there until I saw a truck come, and they had a truck come. It was about 3.5 hours later, and they cleared all the spots along, but, so that you could, the road was actually clear, but there's a different mayor now and things are different, but I called everyone's number that was on the borough website until it ended up being.
well, when I called, I left a message, but I called another, council person, and I was told that they didn't bring it down all the way because, they didn't want it to freeze over and have ice. And I understand that, but it was 6 inches. It was halfway up my son's shin. He's a little guy. It was deep in the middle, and that's the main road, that's the main, all the way through. And then from what I understand, I do have relatives that live across the street here, it was the same thing here. So, I don't know what has to happen.
School should be priority. There's a council meeting next week.
It needs to, it needs to be addressed, because it's just simply
It needs to be
unacceptable.
thoroughly plowed.
I understand that there's a lot of side streets, and I get it, I understand
School
that.
should be priority.
But Third Avenue from top to bottom with 2 schools and it being one of the most important,
Especially the hill.
one of the most frequently used, roads, I would say, because, Clemens Bridge and the Pike aren't our responsibility.
Correct.
So as a borough, I would think with 2 schools being on Third Avenue, that is a priority. And from what I see, was not a priority. So, we'll have to, but I just wanted to ask that question so I can give an answer. There's only that one little section, that's why.
But going forward, any other storms, we're gonna take the effort to clear that larger section off
Okay.
into the grass side, and in the future, we'll take care of it even better, but, the rest
So
of
a
the storms-
suggestion for the future then is.
Maybe to just
between
have one
current-
down a little closer to the house.
Yeah, we'll-
Between,
You know what I mean?
I'll evaluate it, and we'll make it much larger for the next storm, hopefully there aren't any more, but.
I know. you know.
Welcome to
But is
February.
it possible, to- I know this is an expense, to concrete the quote grassy area
That's-
between the curb and the sidewalk
That's one of the options. like
along
they
that
did at
section, so when those cars come in, their children can just get out and
Right.
go to the sidewalk?
Bingham. Apparently they did that at Bingham some time
Okay.
back,
Yeah,
and that was one of the things I was gonna look
Okay.
into, get some pricing and things like that, and then present it to everybody, so.
Yeah, that probably would make a lot of sense, and
It makes
would
a
make
lot
the
of
most sense, actually.
Yeah, cause
'Cause that's how it is
even
on
for
Third.
those that are concerned about, eco and everything else, that little bit's not gonna.
It's not
make a
much.
difference, right?
It's not much.
And
Thank
that's
you.
the way to go.
Stephen, I was still wondering about if you're allowed to call them and tell them to put a couple in.
Yeah.
Had some action.
Couple of cheese.
I have a question for
What's
Earl.
Okay, yeah, keep going, that's what we're still on
Make sure
board.
which
I
is
see we're approving the accountant position this evening. I was just wondering, I saw her resume, which I was very impressed with. Just how many applicants did you have to interview before you found?
9 or 10.
9 to 10, okay. And, were they qualified more on their certification or on their job experience, or was it a little bit of both?
We had only a few people who had school-related experience.
Okay,
Most of them were accountants in private sector.
okay. And also your Systems 3000, I know we've discussed this before as far as, training the staff. Is it, you're planning on all office staff being trained on Systems 3000, is that correct?
Well, right now, they all use Systems 3000,
Right.
but very few of them have had much training.
Right, formal training, right, exactly.
And what's happening now, Systems 3000 put out their 2014 training schedule.
Okay.
And close to us, there's free training, some near Atlantic County, some up in, what's the other place, it's Gloucester County, I think it is, right? So that we don't have everybody going out at one time,
Okay.
we're sending a couple people one day and a couple people the other day.
So you're saying, you're hoping within a week's time, then that will be taken care of as far as everybody having some experience on?
It's gonna be over the course of the year,
Oh, okay.
but the person who we're recommending for tonight has 3 years of experience with Systems 3000. And the rest of the staff has enough experience with it that they're getting by. So we may not have to have them come down unless we find that there's a specific product.
She's gonna be able to train some of our current employees.
Oh, okay,
Functions and
so
systems.
in-house training as well.
Exactly.
Okay, so you're hoping by the end of this year, this school year, that everybody's.
You're
gonna be
approving
able to
tonight, some
start?
of the things that were added tonight to the
Right,
agenda,
yeah.
was some of those trainings you'll see
Oh, okay,
coming up in March. It starts as early as March 4th, I believe,
okay.
for different locations and what we're sending for systems.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions on reports? All right, we will move further then, and property and transportation, we have use of facilities. Nothing, the spring soccer league was added.
Just mention one business real quick.
Yes.
We did tweak that one date, I don't know if with the last agenda set, I'll have to go back and look, but December 17th, I think we had that scheduled for the Monday. I think it was when we were making those changes between the Mondays and Wednesdays, so I think on your
Yeah, it was originally scheduled for the 22nd.
22nd,
Mhm.
we kept it the same as we kept this year, which we met, I believe, on December 16th, so next year we'll just meet on December 17th, so that's why we kind of started out. But that's not a Monday, that's actually a Wednesday,
The
the
17th.
week before Christmas. Christmas break. So I just want to point that out. And then today, the only thing in property and transportation, we added the ROI with the spring soccer.
Any questions under property and transportation? Personnel, there was nothing added since this weekend. Any questions there? You will see that for item number 3, the district accountant, the resume is attached for everyone to view. If there's no questions, we can move along to finance.
Yeah, go ahead, it's part of this.
So finance, I think there's some questions on the professional development.
Yeah.
Whoa, I just saw my name, so now I'm concerned.
Well, Amy's up to government.
Thank you.
And Amy's
No,
like
that's fine.
skipped all of
I'll pass
us.
go and go straight to,
Well, I
Round
just
of
took
order.
governance four. I just took governance four in
I
October.
think I'm the only one that's right, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Who was in governance four with me?
I was told to go back to
We
governance
got
one.
from the school board.
And you cannot go into it all.
No.
It must not be up to
We
date.
all-
Maria, I was told to go back
Because
to
Naomi
governance
already
one.
did governance four, so she does not need to go to
I went
governance
through
four
it
again.
with you, doesn't that?
No, once with me can count for a few times, but I honestly feel like in governance one, they said if you,
Question.
you know, if you ever have any lapse in service, you have to retake it.
And
I was like, oh, I'll never lapse in service, or I'll never come back if I don't.
Right, because, correct me if I'm wrong,
It lunch wasn't
governance
working.
three,
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
beginning of your third
Solid.
term?
We
Yes.
did that.
So, then this is only the end of my second term.
No, it goes by years,
It goes by the years of your term.
years of your term.
Okay.
You should be
But
done.
like
Number.
Angel should be with me.
No, Naomi and
No,
I
she's
already
with
did
me.
four. We should be the ones who are finished.
Yes.
You're
We
finished?
should.
I only
No,
had governance.
Angel
You're saying
Angel should be
on
with me.
previous board.
No, she's not.
And I
We
did
ran the
governance
same
board.
year.
So can we approve these pending, pending
Fixing.
the
Adjustments.
Adjustments, pending adjustments?
But I can tell you that the reason why this appears here is that we had the new census to fill out from the School Boards Association. And one of the questions was whether or not Amy needed to take governance one again, and you don't. But
I don't?
Wow.
it gives us a printout of what you have completed and what you still need to
Okay.
complete. And so if their records are incorrect, then we need to get the records fixed.
Well, the records are incorrect because when they switched the election from April to November, that extended everyone's
That's part of the
terms
problem,
that
isn't it?
were currently serving. So it's not truly the beginning of my third term, it's the end of my second term, if that makes any sense.
It doesn't go by terms though, it goes
It
by
goes by
years.
years of
By
your
years.
terms.
Years,
Okay.
so,
Yeah, but everybody serves a 3-year term,
So we need to do.
Correct.
but mine is now a 3-year and whatever, 7-month term, or whatever it is.
When it got extended,
Right.
that one term, that 1 year for you got extended,
Correct.
okay? So as of January 1st, everybody kicked into a new year.
Okay.
Whether you were 18 months in your last year or 12 months in your last year.
Okay, but my term of service will be 3 years and however
Then 6
many
months.
months.
8 months.
But that's okay as far as what New Jersey School Board is saying.
Earl, can I ask you a question? Would it be helpful if each board member could tell you what governance levels they've completed, and then it could be checked on with the state?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just so you know, I'm right.
so why don't we each tell Earl what we've
Right, I
completed?
finished,
so-
I have finished governance too.
I need 4.
Samantha, you're listed under
Mr.
governance
Rowe.
too?
I'm gonna start down this to right.
Just take it one at a time.
I have completed governance too,
Completed 1 and 2.
1 and 2, yes.
I also completed 1 and 2, because I did 2 at the convention.
Okay.
I completed 3 online. You just took 4 before it, so, and this says I have to go to 4, and that's where I should
So
be.
you're okay.
I'm good. And Harrison's close enough that I'm loving this.
I don't know that this is Harrison
It's not
Township.
more.
Forget it, I
This is
I need to
Harrison
go
High
somewhere. I'm like, all right, well then I don't
This is
like
at
it.
Harrison
But
High School.
anyway, I'm right.
Where's Harrison High
I
School?
think it's North Jersey.
I think it's.
They don't have them
Central.
online?
By union.
Oh, that's north, that is not central.
There's 2 different,
All right, well, anyway, mine's correct, Carol.
I did 1, 2, and I did 3 in October last year, so I think I should be up to 4 at some point this year. I received that.
Oh, then you already did 3?
I did 3
at the
at the
convention.
convention.
Yeah, we did our stuff at the convention.
Okay.
We stayed the extra day and suffered no less.
I did not get mine.
I completed 4 at the convention. October at the convention, the last day of the convention.
Naomi and I, yep, it was, I have my stuff in my.
It was the
You're the same.
anti-bullying, it was the
It was,
anti-bullying
yeah,
law.
I did 4, I
Legal
completed
update.
4. It was a legal update and HIB laws in, October at the convention as well.
I'm complete 1 through 3, doing the third one at the convention in October.
Charles, how about you?
Okay, I did the
He's on the
3-day
second
training
team.
program. I served 2 terms on the Black Horse Pike School District Board, completed the whole training. When I was elected, well, first I was appointed and then elected to this board, the state reviewed my records and said I only had to do governance 4. I completed governance 4 at Washington Township High School in October of 2013. So I'm finished.
Told you he was done.
And I only did,
I said it, when he said Chaz, I said,
and I
no,
only did
he
one.
graduated.
I never did 2.
Well, you get to skip those.
You get to skip one.
You get to skip 2, 3, and move 1 to 4.
Because I come back that day and then say it's not valid, so
Okay,
I'm
we'll
not
double check
happy.
it.
Listen, I'm with you.
So we'll just say pending, pending adjustments.
Right, pending adjustment.
It's not like they're costing, you know, it's not a fee. I have another question. The leadership conference, does it have to be active presidents and board presidents? Because Naomi's on here for February 8th at the
There's-
leadership conference.
There's 2 leadership conferences that, according to what we were able to determine. One is on a Saturday, one's on a Sunday.
They both have the same date here, and they're both $100. So I just want to make sure that it's for current. It says Naomi and Charles are going to Princeton, February 8th, 2014, on page,
6.
on number 1. And then it was added that Charles and I would be going today, board president and vice president conference, February 8th in
One
Princeton.
of them is the 8th and one of them is the 9th.
Well, then we have a date wrong here.
You can drop
See,
that.
it says on page 7, halfway through, it has Chaz in the 9th there too.
Chaz Michael
It
said
has
that.
Chaz on the 8th.
Chaz, you'll graduate from that program too. 'Cause you're gonna be a little
Earl, you
bit
could drop
beyond
me from the
everybody
9th.
else.
I'm not attending that. If there
Alright,
is one
no,
on the
for the
9th.
weekend's fine.
Okay, I'll be going to the one on the 8th.
Okay.
Got me over here.
Do you see what I'm talking about? At the top, the very first, under number
Yes.
2,
Oh,
under,
yeah.
it says Naomi and Charles.
And that's correct. I'm going to that.
On the 8th, you're
On the 8th.
going, because you're the current board vice president,
Yes. Yes.
but Naomi should not be listed there. That's the same thing that's added here on page 9.
Except the times are different.
There is no times.
The one with Naomi and Chaz is 4 o'clock.
Yeah,
Well, it starts
I-
at 9. It's 9
That's a
to 4.
typo.
That's still
That's a
9.
typo.
Should be
Well,
9
I
a.m.
think
to
that
4
we
p.m.
may have signed you guys up before the reorganization meeting.
Well, right, but what I'm saying is if it's
You
a
gotta
board
change it.
president and vice president conference, then it should be,
Should be the one that's on page 9.
it should be the one on page 9, the one on page 6 is void.
So number 1 on page 6 is going to go, and then
Go
the
away.
So
one.
Chaz is going
And the one on page 7, we're dropping
Seven
also.
has to go, yeah. And then we keep the one on
Yes, no,
this one's on page 7.
Yeah, you're not gonna go up there 2 days on that, that's
No, it's the same thing.
We don't get credit once you go for both page Chaz, so you consider
But right now, yes.
Do you have the, do you have,
You're why the man.
do you have the,
it. In order to graduate, I'm just saying.
I just wanna say that, before, I talked to Kathy Montesta this morning, and I don't have in my phone, I was just checking and I just tried to get in contact with my husband, but that won't happen. But before like that is sent out, that money, like I need to check a wrestling schedule, cause I may not even be in this state
Okay.
at that day. So I told Kathy that, and, I apologize, maybe during break before we approve it, I'll call him instead of texting him
Is it on your website?
to see. Is it on whose website?
The wrestling teams?
No, cause no,
Okay,
that's it, individual tournaments.
got it.
So, I will, they don't have anything like that, like, I will let you know during regular session.
Looks like I'm the only one. Everybody else is.
You and
But Amy has to take 2.
You and Maria.
Whatever.
3 is okay.
I'm the only one that's in place.
So we have any other questions there?
Oh, you do need 4?
I need 4.
Yeah, sometimes.
And the Go Red Day fundraiser for Bingham School was also added. We have one for Volts, and we have one for Bingham.
Question, can we participate in the vote one? Or is it just for the teachers?
To go red?
Yeah.
I don't know what they
They
have
want to come in and learn some healthy,
Well, no, I just wanted to donate $5 and get my pin.
you can always donate. You can donate to both buildings.
And
Okay.
get 2 pins, it's fine. Donate 1 of your pins
Yeah,
too,
okay.
Hallmark, yeah.
And there's, on the back, page 10, there are some student teaching placements, I assume that they started this week?
The one, I didn't see the one.
Where I'm covering.
Page 10.
Back 10? Page
10.
10?
At the top,
I didn't see the
Right there.
one.
Oh,
right there.
okay.
Whatever it is, that is-
I've seen all of them except for one. But she might be starting, depends if it's a, sometimes they split their placements depending on what their certification
Oh,
is
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
be.
you're correct.
So they spend the first half of a semester in maybe a special education setting, and then they would spend the second half of the semester in a regular education setting, so that way they have both, depending on what they're getting from their college.
And some of the schools start different dates as well. Like, I mean, Rutgers, Rowan, and Trenton State, South Bend, like the College of New Jersey have different semester times.
Yeah, right.
You're good.
Before I close the work, yes,
I was just rereading this, I'm sorry. Butch, did we chase roots on that tree that you cut down, or we just flush cut it?
Oh, no, it was ground down.
It was? Okay. So we could put something new there?
Absolutely.
Perfect, because it looks really neat.
Oh, it does look
My kids are like, it looks really,
It's
really
awfully
neat.
safe
Mom.
right now.
Huh?
It's very safe right now.
It is very safe. We could start over again with something new and little.
Absolutely.
You planned for Arbor Day.
There you go.
A bush?
Crepe myrtle,
Does it get large?
crepe myrtle.
Right, they're also going crazy.
Naomi, I did just see down here that this is geared towards school board presidents and vice presidents, but is open to any school
We
board member.
discussed that.
Yes,
So do you want to go, so that we won't take you off?
yes, the, Teresa Lewis, when I was at the county meeting, she encouraged all school board members to try to attend that fit into your
When is it?
schedule,
I won't
because it is a good leadership.
I'm gonna pay for myself,
development
though.
For board members to be able to come back and.
No, yeah, so I'm sorry, I didn't have this in front of me when I said that, so we won't take you off of that then, we'll add you back on, onto that.
Yes, I would like.
You would like to go?
Yes.
All right.
Put her back.
So
I'm going with Chad.
I apologize, I've never seen this.
That's okay,
until
I
now.
I brought it with me tonight, I just got it at the last one.
Okay, so then Naomi will be attending in Princeton on February 8th, 2014, 9 a.m. to 4. Any other questions on the agenda?
I didn't get one. I mean, I got one this time, but I didn't get one in my packet, this time.
You didn't get an actual agenda in your packet?
I didn't get a preview agenda in my packet. I don't know who made it.
I got 2 here. I'm not kidding.
That's probably
I got
not.
to shop and I'm like, ooh, why do I have 2 of these?
All right, just so we can have a little break, and I need a motion to adjourn the work
Two.
Let's
session.
make a motion to
See that?
adjourn work session.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Naomi, seconded by Lynn.
I,
All in favor?
Aye.
Six,
that was the week before.